Here is one of our workstations in the darkroom. I'm going to quickly show you a little bit about the Enlarger and how it's set up. The first thing is to, of course, remove the dust cover, and remembering that this is a dust cover, please don't ball it up and put it on the floor. Roll it up, make as much noise as you can for the video, and just simply tuck it back behind the Enlarger. That's going to keep it from acquiring extra dust that we really don't need. And so this is the Enlarger. I'm going to talk to you about some of the parts associated with the Enlarger as a reminder on how to work it. The first thing to know is that the timer is what turns on the power to the whole thing. So the timer here, took that down for you. Down turns the light on and enables the motor on the Enlarger to go up and down. I think I might have come in a little too tight there. So when this toggle switch is up, the light's off and the motor doesn't work. When the switch is down, the light is on and the motor works. So the down position we call focus, and that is because we would use it to focus the Enlarger because the light's coming out. We could control the size of our image by zooming it up or down. Then, when we switch it up, it goes to what we call the time setting. And so now, let's see, I'm going to reflect some light off this white card so you'll be able to see it. That we're going to set it using this little wheel. If I aim it for the 5, that's going to be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, etc. So I'll just do 5-second exposure. And now, I'm going to aim this card so you can see the light's going to come on for exactly 5 seconds every time I push that button. It may or may not have shown in the video. I feel like that was kind of dim. Okay, much better. Okay. So that's why that's called time. The light's going to be off unless you push the button. Focus, the light's on so that you can adjust the focus and do what you need to do there. Now, that said, focus is this thing where it's controlled by these two knobs down on either side of where the lens is located. If you reach up with your left hand, there's a chance that in the dark you'll grab the wrong knob. Let's look at the wrong knob, shall we? That's the wrong knob that my hand is on. If you adjust this knob instead, watch what happens to this top set of bellows. You are now adjusting it and setting it for a different kind of film as opposed to focusing, which only adjusts the bottom bellows. So that's pretty important. I mean, until I come in and figure it out for you, if someone else has misadjusted that top bellows by reaching up with the wrong hand and grabbing the wrong knob in the dark, you could be kind of frustrated for a little while. So a good way around it is just don't reach up with your left hand. Even if you want to focus with your left hand, reach with your right hand first, grab that, and then it's really easy to reach to the knob that's right across from it. You know, if you know you're going for the knob across from it to help with your focusing, you're not going to reach way up here. So that's about focusing. And so you know how to up and down it, right? And the focus is on this. The other thing about upping, raising and lowering is that maybe you get close and you're trying to fine-tune your image size. You can turn this by hand and fine-tune that up or down motion. Let's see, other parts of the Enlarger you want to know include where to put the filters. We have, for beginning photography, these sets of little contrast filters that are stored to the left of the Enlarger, and they're numbered 1 through, or 00 through 5. I made these little tabs with the hopes that it would make it easier for y'all to find what you need. So please put them back, when you're done with them, in the right order. That just helps out the next person. So say we wanted to start with a medium contrast, we'd grab the filter from the middle of the pack, the 2.5, and just place it right on that little bracket, and now the light is colored by that filter as it comes down to the paper, and it's going to create a sort of medium level of contrast. If after your first test print you decide it needs more contrast, you'd take this out and go up to a higher numbered filter, and you'd place that on there, and then try that out and see how that looked. More about that in another demo, but that's how you deal with those filters. An alternative source for filters are big ones that go all the way up in this drawer up top. That's a larger set of filters. You wouldn't need this bracket at all. And instead, let's take a walk to where the big filters live. If y'all could see me carrying this tripod, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So over here, immediately to the right as you come into the darkroom, there are these sets of drawers, and I have some filters in here that are available for you to use. There's some information printed on there to make sure that you're handling them correctly, and you can see they are cut to a size that will fit right in that filter tray that I showed you. So I'm going to bring those over to my workstation, close that. And so again, maybe I'm going to start with kind of a middle numbered filter. Take this drawer out, place the filter in the little plastic tray, and then slide that in up top. And I just did a thing that's a bad example. I left the light on while I did that. If you're working and someone else is working in here, there are a couple things that are just really bad etiquette when it comes to working in the darkroom. And they involve light because, of course, then you're going to mess up someone else's work. If I open this with the enlarger in focus position, light is going to stream out of here and potentially ruin somebody else's photo paper that's out. And then the other thing is when I open the negative stage, this platform that is going to hold our negatives when we're printing, like that's where that's going to go. If I open that, light's going to stream out. And so you always want to just make sure before you open either of those chambers that you switch the light off first. So now it's fine to open that up. So we've talked about the filter. Let's talk about putting the negative in. I'm going to move you over to this side because that's where you'll see best. There's a lever on the left-hand side of the enlarger, and this just opens up this negative stage. Normally you would take your negative carrier here out to the front, put it on the light table, and load your negative into this spot within this window. This one seems to have lost some of its little pins, so let me find one that hasn't. Well, shall we say they vary a little bit. Here's one where the negative is just going to go in between these little posts. With all of them, there are little pins on the bottom, which, so if there's, feel for the protrusions. Those go down. The reason they go down is you can see now the negative carrier is instantly centered naturally within the light path, and you don't have to worry about whether your negative is really going to be in the middle of that column of light as it comes down. So that's the deal there. What I was looking for, you can kind of see someone's kind of maybe manhandled this a little bit, and two of these little guys are missing. But these are actually kind of like nail heads, I suppose, in profile. And so you would actually slide your negative under those to align it and place it in there. I'll show you more about that when we're doing our printing demo too. But this is really mainly just to show you the parts of the enlarger so you know how to operate everything that's over here. Let's look down and look at the easel. Well, while we're here, let's look at the easel. This type of easel, 4-bladed easel, allows you to float your image at any place in the middle of the photo paper, which is really nice. When you adjust the blades of the easel, it's better for the easel if you lift this up just a tiny, tiny bit so that as they slide, the opposite end is not dragging on the surface of the easel. So it just doesn't, it just needs to be a little bit. You're just sliding them by squeezing these little releases on the side, moving up and down like this. Don't squeeze them and pull up because you'll wind up pulling the arm of the easel off, and that's not very useful. If you do and you can't figure out how to get it back, just leave it, text me, let me know, and I'll fix it for you. I'm going to show you another type of easel that we have commonly in here while we're on the same topic. And that is the Saunders. This one, there's a little bit of a latch here. This lifts up, but same thing, please lift it up to slide the easel blades as you need to adjust them. And then the other thing I need to show you is to put the paper in. Both of them have an arm that holds this up while you're trying to put your paper into place. So when you take your photo paper, an 8x10 sheet of paper is supposed to go in the middle slot. These are little slots, and so I'm going to put it in and then slide it all the way to the left. That's going to hold it snug, while then I lift up on this little arm a little bit. That allows me to lower it, and you can see that now I can adjust my easel blades as I would like to have my image print right in the middle of it. The reason we slide it to the left is that then it's precisely made to give pretty accurate measurements. So if I want a print that is, what, 8 inches, then I can go to 8 inches here, and then 5 inches here, and 5 inches here. There, now it's perfectly centered on my 8x10 sheet of paper, and it's 5x8 inches. You might not necessarily care about that, but that's there if you want it. So again, with both types of easel, there's an arm on the left-hand side that lifts it up, and your aim is to insert your paper into the slot and slide it to the left, then lower that. This is where the lens is located on your Enlarger, and so you can see up here that it has aperture settings, just like the aperture settings on your camera. And so when you're focusing, you're always going to want to use the widest, lowest numbered aperture. That's going to get the most light through there, so it's easier to see when your print is coming in and out of focus. And additionally, it's because it also involves depth of field, going to make the most pronounced difference between when it's in focus versus out of focus. Then when you're printing, again with the depth of field, we actually want to make our prints on f11, and that is because it's going to compensate for any slight unevenness in your negative, in the easel, in the way your paper's placed. And so, like, basically 3 things have to be parallel: the negative, the lens plane, and the paper plane. And so by printing on f11, you compensate for any little disparities that might happen there. Now, those little tiny numbers on that lens are going to be a lot harder to see when you're actually working in here in the dark. So, for your convenience, we have these fine pieces of equipment, and that looks white in the video, but this is actually red Safelite material taped over there. And so what you can do is use that just to illuminate the numbers on your lens so that you can tell that you're set on the right aperture or not. When you're done using it, please shut it off so the batteries don't just burn out, and hang it back up over here on its little fancy nail so that it's out of the way of all the other various parts and pieces on the Enlarger station. So in summary, here's a diagram for you of all the important parts that we've just discussed. Feel free and take a screenshot of this so that you can
Make sure you're super familiar with where everything is when you head in to print.